everyone, I am Shanne Intong, an education secondary student, major in English, and today I will be discussing to you the demands of society from the teacher as a person. Teaching is the noblest profession. One must remember that there's no such thing as architects, engineers, soldiers, policemen, and businessmen without a teacher. The teacher created them all. That's one thing a teacher must be proud of. A teacher is capable of giving the students their desired careers and their desired dreams. However, there are times that we might hear a teacher say, "I am just a teacher," which is completely wrong. You, as a teacher, must be very proud of such profession you have. Teachers are considered to be nearest to being a saint. Teachers are considered to be almost perfect. Teachers can't afford to commit mistakes because the society is looking up to them. When you saw a teacher wearing a miniskirt or a teacher fails to pay a debt in time, you might say, "Teacher pa naman din," or you might say, "Maestra man unta." Why? Because the society is expecting of teachers to behave appropriately at all times. Teachers are role models where the students are looking up to them, and their actions and behaviors might reflect to the students that they might imitate the teacher. Today, I will be discussing to you the 12 characteristics of an effective teacher. These 12 characteristics derived from a 15-year longitudinal qualitative study coming from thousands of essays from teacher education students. This was derived from Walker Robert J. To begin with, first is we have being prepared. Being prepared means come to class each day and be ready to teach. Come to class each day means consistency. It's not just about you're early today and the next morning you're late. Being ready to teach means mastery of the subject matter. As such, you have already studied the lessons and formulated activities that you will be implementing in the classroom. The second characteristic is about being positive. Have an optimistic attitude about teaching into the students. As a teacher, you must be positive always for the students to be positive also. A positive mindset helps in successful outcome. As such, you must also have hope and confidence upon teaching so that the learners will easily absorb all the lessons you have taught. The third characteristic is about hold high expectations. Set no limits and believe that everyone can be successful. As a teacher, setting a high expectation towards the students is very much important because you are inspiring and motivating them to work harder because you believe that they can be what they wanted to be. For example, one of your class is performing low, or one of your student has this poor academic outcomes and he doesn't perform well in class. As such, you already concluded that this student will never be successful because he's lazy enough to study, which is completely wrong. As a teacher, no matter what potential or skills he have, even if he has low or poor scores or poor performances in class, you must always believe that he can be successful. In life, those persons who doesn't perform well in class are those persons who becomes more successful than the other students. Treat everyone fair, regardless of their performances in class. Always believe that every one of them can be successful, that every one of them can achieve their desired careers in life. We also have being creative. Being creative is being resourceful and inventive in how they teach their classes. As such, as a teacher, you must never conduct a class where it's boring where your students are not listening to you. You must be creative enough to formulate activities that would catch their attention. Because of such a creative mind, your discussion will go smoothly and that your students are having fun at the same time they are learning. The fifth characteristic is fair. Handle students and grading them fairly. Be fair enough to the students despite of their diverse backgrounds, despite their beliefs. Each of your students is different from one another. As a teacher, you must be open-minded enough to accept your students and treat them all equally. And also, grade them fairly. Do not practice favoritism, that you're giving an extra score to those students who helps you in doing the checking or it helps you in with the paperworks. Never give them an extra score or you would treat them more nice than the others. Give scores to the students that they deserve. We also have display a personal touch or being approachable or being friendly. A friendly teacher or an approachable teacher is very important because the students will not hesitate to ask questions if they have struggles to the lesson or if they have personal problems and they wanted an advice. The seventh characteristic is that cultivate a sense of belonging or have a way to make students feel welcome and comfortable in their classrooms. Having a favorable environment to the students are very much important for the learning process. I always had experience that we had a classroom where all the materials needed are in there. There are books, magazines, reading corners and everything, but the students are not allowed to touch those books because they might damage it or something. But as a teacher, you must cultivate a sense of belonging and cultivate to the students' mind that all the things found in the classroom are theirs also. As such, they will read the books and the learning process is smooth because they feel at home and they don't feel awkward upon learning. The eighth one is about being compassionate. Being compassionate or concerned about students' personal problems and can relate to them. You know, teaching is not just about teaching lessons and knowledge, skills to the students. It's also about cultivating values and connecting to the students. As such, if you're an approachable teacher, the students will not hesitate to ask an advice from you if they have some personal problems. And be compassionate. Give an advice to them and relate to them. Inspire them, motivate them that in spite of their problem, they can go with it and can go through it, that they can solve such problem with a positive mind. The 10th characteristic is respect your students. Do not deliberately embarrass your students, and teachers who give the highest respect get the highest respect. Do not embarrass your students if they fail to accomplish a task or if they fail to answer a question. Instead of embarrassing the student, you must inspire and motivate the student to work harder so that next time he or she can be able to answer it correctly. Because if you embarrass a student, you're actually taking out his or her confidence, and next time the student will not answer your question because he or she is afraid that you might embarrass him again. The 11th characteristic is forgiving. Do not hold grudges. We actually cannot avoid students that are hard-headed and that it seems like they can't possess the values that you're teaching to them. They might have done something bad towards you, or they might have uttered negative things towards you. But as a teacher, never hold a grudge. We must always remember that a loving God is forgiving, that despite of our sins, He is forgiving us. How much us and how much the teachers. we must be forgiving enough. The last characteristic is admit mistakes. It doesn't mean that you are a teacher, then you're not capable of creating a mistake, because you're just a human. You're capable of doing mistakes, and what's important is that you're learning something from that mistake. You learned a lesson from that mistake, and you're never doing that mistake again. As such, you're bringing the lessons that you have learned along with your journey in life, along with your journey as a teacher, and it had molded you into becoming a better version of yourself.